Hello, everybody. So this is our first challenge check-in where we go over the Project Zero and the questions that you guys gave to us. Right now, I have Ed on the call, but a couple of you submitted questions ahead of time, and I'm just going to answer those, give you guys any of the information that you need, and we are going to be doing these calls again in the future. So if you didn't get the chance to submit a question, email or message one of us coaches, but we're also going to go over this again. So if you want to submit questions for that future call, I encourage you to. So to start out, the first question that I have is, what is the best way to make sure that we are hydrating? I am using a straw during the day and start with 8 ounces of water with breakfast. Any other tips are appreciated. So the first thing that I would point out is starting at the beginning of the day is, in my opinion, one of the most important things. You start your habits whenever you wake up. My first suggestion would be to make drinking water one of the first things that you do. Have a cup of water or a bottle of water next to your bed so that it can be just in your sight as soon as you wake up. And I would encourage you to try to get as much as you're able to down in that moment. So, not force feeding yourself water, but 6 to 8 ounces to start your day. That way, you know that you're not going throughout your daily routine, getting a shower, brushing your teeth, doing all the things that might take 30 to 60 minutes without getting that water in, and you can just get ahead of that. Basic things that I recommend are setting reminders on your phone. I know it can be a little annoying throughout the day, but having a simple reminder like an alarm, just reminding you to drink that water can be really effective. I encourage having multiple forms of hydration around you, meaning if you ever look at me whenever I'm coaching a class, chances are you're going to see a protein shake, you're going to see a water, and you're going to see a coffee sitting next to me. For me personally, because I tend to be so on the go and I don't always really remember to bring myself over to the water fountain, I try to have a bigger water bottle so that it lasts me throughout a longer period of time and I don't have any hurdles that are stopping me from getting that water. And as simple as that might sound to walking over to the water fountain, it's if I'm actually doing it, which is making the difference. So I would say making sure that you have what you need, which is that bottle or glass of water next to you at all times whenever you wake up, and then having the reminder to just continuously do that throughout the day. Me personally, as well, I do not set reminders on my phone because for me, my phone's going off all day with various messages and just different things that reminder might not be as effective for me. What I personally do, if you guys go into our bathroom, you see the chart on the wall, you'll see the different colors of urine, and it's pretty simple. If your pee is clear, you're fairly hydrated. If you're starting to see more of a yellowish tint to that, that's a sign that our body is dehydrated. And one thing that I want to point out about this is I think a lot of us might think whenever we see that yellowish color, that we can offset that by just drinking a bottle of water really quickly and then that's all taken care of. One thing that I've noticed is it will take a full 2 classes, so about a little over 2 hours, for me to actually see a change in that color whenever I go to the bathroom. And that might be 2 to 3, possibly 4 water bottles in that period of time. So, what I'm getting at in a nutshell is try to do it continuously throughout the day. Whenever you do start hydrating at first, your body is not used to it. So, you might notice that you go to the bathroom more frequently. That's not going to be a forever thing. As soon as your body starts to adjust to those hydration levels, that will get better. But those would be my 3 recommendations. Wake up, make it the first thing that you do in the morning, set reminders in your phone, and always have water nearby. Now, I'm going to go on to the next question. What are some pre and post workout food ideas and why? So, pre-workout, my best suggestion well, first of all, this is going to depend on the time of the day. So, if you are somebody that comes into the gym at 5:30 a.m. in Nick's classes, I'm not expecting you to have as much fuel in your body as somebody that's coming in at 4:30 p.m. per se. At the same time, I don't even expect somebody getting up that early to really have a big breakfast before they go into that session. That's really all about what that person can handle. Um, what I would recommend is getting something in before you go into your workouts, some source of protein, some source of carbs. And if you can get the healthy fats, which typically aren't too hard to include into your meals, that would be beneficial as well. For somebody in the morning, I would say something as simple as a protein shake if you're able to, and maybe a banana. If you can't stomach that protein shake before a workout, that's okay. Get something in your body, even that banana, a piece of fruit, oatmeal, yogurt, something light so that you're not going to have it sitting heavy on your stomach while you're working out, but at the same time that you're not feeling hungry and deprived and you do have fuel to go through that. Now, what I think is more important about this aspect is what we're getting total through the day. So somebody that works out in the evening, they might be able to get a bigger breakfast in, where I would recommend somebody in the morning to have that light breakfast, but then think about what they didn't get beforehand, and let's include that after the workout. So somebody that works out in the morning, you might not have a full well-rounded breakfast before you go into that workout, but I do expect you to get enough protein, enough carbohydrates, enough healthy fats after your workout to replenish your body. And then know that you might be eating lunch sooner in a couple hours from that point. Um, Basically, what I'm trying to get at is regardless of what time of the day you eat, it's really important that we focus on those daily totals. So, not to kind of like just keep spinning my wheels here and repeating myself, but whenever you're looking at those daily totals, that might mean that before those workouts early in the morning, you have less, and then you kind of fill that in later on. You eat more after those workouts than somebody in the evening. I hope that makes sense. Um, in general, if timing isn't really an issue as far as what time of the day you're working out and you don't have an issue getting a breakfast in beforehand, I recommend eating anywhere from 20 to 40 grams of protein. And we can go more than that depending on what your goals are and just your body composition. This is going to be a little bit different for everybody. So I don't want to get too specific, but having a good source of protein, having a good source of carbs, and having a good healthy fat is important for every meal. Typically, my snacks, I will have more of a protein based snack with lighter carbs and lighter fat. My meals, I try to get a well rounded composition of protein, carbohydrates, and fat. And we can go deeper into this because each person individually is going to have a different stomach for different foods. Some people can eat a full meal and work out with no issue, where some people really have to be careful about how it upsets their stomach. Going on to the next question. I can get my daily protein a bit over 100 grams. Need suggestions to reach my body weight daily. So I know the specific question, and I think that this is going to be really useful for a lot of you. So if you look at the goals that we set for everybody, we recommended 100 grams of protein per day, and that's regardless of what your goals are, how much you weigh, how much muscle mass you have. I want everybody aiming for that. And the reason for that is I am going to get a little bit more detailed here. So if you want to write this stuff down, it may be beneficial. You don't have to. Whenever we look at how much protein per day a client should have, if you've ever asked us to break down your macronutrients, which means I have customized exactly how many grams of protein, how many grams of carbohydrates, and how many grams of fat one individual person needs in order to see the goals that they're looking for, whether that's weight loss, a specific number of specific number of pounds taken off the scale, whether that's muscle gain. We can customize these macronutrients for anybody in any goal. Now, the thing about this is following those macronutrients can get very stressful and it can take a lot of time, meaning you have to know exactly what is on your plate, you have to weigh your foods, and it can be a pretty detailed process that a lot of people don't follow through with. My goal out of this was to take the most important aspects of those macronutrients and give that to you guys in a simple way that's easy to follow and is effective. In my opinion, the most important factor of macronutrients is hitting your daily protein goal. Now, all of us, and I recommend this for 99% of healthy adults, should be eating anywhere from 0.8, and this can be variable, but 0.8 to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So just to do some math right here, if I have somebody that weighs 200 pounds, I would recommend on the lower end, based on what I just said, that person is eating 200 times 0.08. Whoops, sorry. Hold on one second, Ed. So that person that weighs 200 pounds would be getting about 160 grams of protein per day. So for some of you may be sitting here listening to this and they're like, oh, well, how come I only recommended 100? Because that's our starting point. Most of us may have not been getting, I won't say most of us, some of us may not have been getting even 100 grams of protein per day before we started this Project Zero. So now that we're a couple weeks in, I challenge any of you who have been getting that 100 grams of protein to seek out advice from one of us coaches so that we can make this more beneficial and effective for you. If you are currently still reaching and working towards those 100 goals, I would make that your habit right now and continue to aim for that. If you have been getting those 100 grams in per day, just know that your body can benefit off of more protein. Eating more protein is only going to recover your body further. Whenever we come into these workouts, we are breaking our muscles down and our bodies down. Protein synthesis is what rebuilds those muscles back into a stronger position, allows us to lift more weight next week, allows us to do the same movement pattern without pain, and ultimately builds up the lean muscle mass that's going to do the really good things for our body. And not to go on a huge rant here, but remember, more muscle mass means a higher metabolism, which means it is just simpler and easier to lose body fat. Most of us that have joined this gym wouldn't be opposed to more lean body mass and less fat mass on our bodies. So just know that by eating more protein per day, you're putting yourself in such a better position to lose that body fat and gain that lean muscle mass. I just really want to drive that home. Eating more protein will not put you in a negative space. I promise you. Now, whenever I was talking about this and going individually with numbers, I said that most people would benefit off of 0.8 grams to 1.2 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Whenever I said 160 grams of protein for a 200-pound person, that is on the lower end. That 200-pound person could also benefit off of 240 grams of protein per day. So if you look at all of this right now, we're recommending a really lower end of things because I do still think that if we're not getting those 100 grams of protein in per day, that it's going to be an achievable goal for all of us to reach and that it's going to benefit anybody who's not currently doing that. If you are currently listening to me say all of this right now and you're thinking, well, I get my 100 grams of protein in, it hasn't been an issue, I do that consistently. Like I said, I want you to reach out to one of us coaches so that we can give you a more individualized goal and start moving forward with that. This wasn't a question, but I kind of want to keep the same thought process on another goal that a lot of us have added in, steps. So I'm sure with the popularity of all of the fitness trackers, we have Garmin's, we have Apple Watches, Fitbits, Whoops, all of them. A lot of people have become familiar with 10,000 steps per day being the recommended average for a healthy adult. If you haven't heard this and this is surprising you, that's just a number that it seems to have become popular for people to aim for. 10,000 steps a day is what most of these apps and companies are considering as a daily activity to be considered as active. I think that 10,000 steps a day is a little bit of a high goal for most of us. Just to put into perspective, as somebody who is on my feet all day, I'm training multiple classes per day. I work out myself pretty frequently. I usually end up around 10, sometimes on my higher end, 14,000 steps a day. So to expect somebody at a desk job who is sitting throughout most of the day to be getting a comparable amount of steps isn't necessarily realistic at first. Now, do I think all of you are capable of getting 10,000 steps per day? Absolutely, no question. But I think we have to condition ourselves to do it so that, one, it's not a stressful process and that we actually follow through with it and make it a consistent habit. Most of us have set a goal for 5,000 steps per day. And I would think about this the same way that we thought about that protein goal. 5,000 steps per day is absolutely going to provide good results, and it's going to be much better than 1 to 2,000, 3 or 4,000 steps a day. Any percent of improvement is going to be beneficial. 1% better each day is what leads to long-term results. What I challenge you to do now is, if you are in the position where you're listening to me and you're getting 5,000 steps per day without issue, talk to your coach so that we can step that up a little bit. Maybe this week we aim for 6,000 steps or 6,500. We can set it individually for any of you to make sure that we're staying on track and improving at our own rate. But ultimately, that's what the goal is here. If you notice that you were able to do something, not necessarily with ease, but without struggle, step out of your comfort zone slightly and see if you can take the next step forward, just like we do in the gym. If a weight gets easy on your goblet squats and you're doing this for 10 reps and you think that you have 5 more reps in the tank, maybe it's time for us to step that weight up as long as there's no pain and make sure that we're continuously improving. The same thing goes with our daily habits in life. Now, moving into our next question. When is the best time to foam roll or use the lacrosse ball? I love this question because a lot of people don't really understand what foam rolling is doing for them. I like to think about this as a self-massage. If you ever have watched the Olympics, you see that there are masseuses and trainers on the sidelines. They're giving all of those athletes what they need before their sessions. We, unfortunately, don't have a personal masseuse at our gym. We have foam rollers. Now, this is going to get the blood flowing throughout your muscles. Foam rolling really is great for promoting blood flow and moving fluid throughout your body. The best visual that I like to think of with this is, think about a dry piece of beef jerky and then think about a filet mignon steak. If you had your muscles compared to one of those two, what would you rather it look like? I know me personally, I don't want the dry, brittle filet mignon or the dry, brittle beef jerky that whenever it moves those muscle fibers, it's going to tear apart. You can move that filet mignon because there's a lot of fluid throughout those muscles. Think of this simply as rolling the blood throughout your muscles, just getting that fluid spread throughout your body so that your muscles can stay hydrated. Now, moving past that, the most beneficial or the biggest benefit to foam rolling, in my opinion, is it offers temporary flexibility. So whenever you do foam rolling, you're going to increase the elasticity of your muscle and the flexibility. You're going to be able to get into positions easier. I have done it with a few of you in the past, but there's actually a drill that I have that if you foam roll the bottom of your foot, your calves, and your hamstrings in the right way, I can take somebody who can't touch their toes, I'd say from an ankle distance to touching their toes after about 5 minutes of foam rolling. Now, the funny thing about this is, if I was to take that same person and try to have them touch their toes an hour after they foam rolled, they wouldn't be able to do so. So this temporary flexibility and mobility, there's a small window of it, and it lasts, I'd say, for about 30 to 40 minutes. But think about the timing of our sessions. That's just enough time to make sure that if you're somebody who is going into a deadlifts and you can't currently touch your toes, I would highly, highly, highly recommend foam rolling before that workout, because that's going to make sure that we can get down to the floor and grab that kettlebell or trap bar without the mobility restrictions, and we're going to be able to keep a straight back. Just think about it for what it is. If I am leaning over to do a deadlift and I have to round my back to get down to something, but after I foam roll, I'm able to get into that position much easier with a straight back, I'm less likely to injure my back throughout the movement. So it simply just makes exercise safer. There's a lot of debate on the effects of foam rolling in terms of recovery. It's debatable if foam rolling does help you recover or not, but there has been a lot of research that shows that it does provide that temporary flexibility and mobility. So I would highly recommend before sessions. Another reason that I like foam rolling, if you guys have ever got onto a foam roller a day after a workout when you're a little bit sore, it doesn't necessarily feel the greatest. It's a little bit painful. And I like to look at that as a good thing because it does increase your body's pain tolerance for whenever we go through workouts. Whenever we're working out, we put our body in uncomfortable positions. We feel a muscular burn whenever we start to challenge ourselves. And the more comfortable we can get with stepping out of that comfort zone. And whenever I say this, I want to really clarify that I'm talking about discomfort and not pain. So I don't want you getting comfortable with pain, but getting comfortable with that sore muscle feeling, with pushing your body through those ranges of motion and feeling those stretches, it's just going to benefit you later on and make you stronger mentally as well. Now, my last question is, we kind of already went over this, and I did want to touch back on what are some pre and post workout food ideas and why. But the question here is, what's more important, frequency of meals per day and the total calorie macro intake? I think that they're both important and they should both be paid attention to. For the sake of this call and the sake of what we're focusing on now, I will say that the daily total is more important than anything. And you can kind of tie that back into what I was saying with the morning client versus the evening client and the time of your day with the workouts. I know I explained that a little bit poorly. So daily, we want to make sure that, let's say somebody in the morning and the afternoon has the same goals, they might have to go about their day differently, but they're still ultimately aiming for the same thing and need to make sure that at the end of the day, they do essentially the same things to reach that goal. It might just be done in a different way. So if your breakfast is on the smaller end because you're working out earlier, that might mean that you have technically two breakfasts, one before workout and one after the workout. Like I said earlier, that one before the workout might be extremely light, and that one after the workout might make up anything that we missed beforehand. Whereas somebody in the afternoon can just get that whole meal in one take just because they don't have to go straight into a 5:30 workout. This is also me assuming that somebody might have a full stomach during a workout and they're not comfortable with that. If you don't deal with that issue, you don't even need to listen to that take. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we are hitting our protein goal, whether it's those 100 grams or if we're aiming for more after this call. We want to make sure that we're hitting that daily total every day. Would I prefer for that to be split up evenly across 3 meals and 2 snacks? Absolutely, because your body's just simply going to process it more. It's going to be an easier way for you to create a realistic habit that moves forward into the long term. Think about this. If we're getting home every night, like we had a crazy day, and I hope this isn't happening for anybody, but let's say we didn't eat all day. I don't want you having to force 100 grams of protein down in one sitting and then ultimately getting yourself in the habit of doing that regularly because it's really not great for your body. Your body's just simply going to feel better. It's going to be less stressful for you, and you're going to have a better routine if we were to split that up throughout the day. But for the time being, if we happen to miss breakfast and we need to have a bigger lunch and get that protein goal on track, I highly encourage getting more protein in that lunch to make up for it. To give you guys an example, and this might help with some of the pre and post food workout food ideas. For me personally, if I'm doing a morning workout, I will try to have some sort of solid food, like I mentioned, a banana earlier. I will also have a protein shake. Sometimes in that protein shake, I'll put something like a quarter cup of oatmeal. I might put a little scoop of peanut butter in that. I might drink one of those core powers that I buy from Wawa. But at the end of the day, I try to make sure that before I go into that workout, I'm getting a good source of protein. So in my protein shakes, they're typically about 40 grams of protein. Um, Pre-workout ideas that would be good. If you, we, all of us coaches have recipes for this stuff too. So if I'm saying this out loud and you're like, well, how do I make that? Just ask us. Overnight oats are a great option. You can make them the night before, have them ready in your refrigerator, and you can just eat it on the way to the gym. It'll take you 5 minutes. Protein shakes are one of my favorite because a protein shake doesn't have to just include protein. You can put any ingredients in that you want in there, blend it up, and it's still going to be liquid that sits easy on the stomach for the most part. Whenever it comes to solid foods, I love breakfast burritos. I I actually used to eat those almost every single day, and that was my way of ensuring that I got a consistent source of protein in. I would make them ahead of time, wrap them in a little bit of tin foil, pop it in the microwave in the morning, and you're good to go. Post-workout ideas. Now, I've been talking a lot about breakfast in the morning. We can talk a little bit about night and lunchtime as well. If you guys are on the go throughout the day and you don't want to keep ordering out and you're just struggling to find different meal ideas of what to eat, I buy a rotisserie chicken every week like I buy eggs. It's part of my grocery list every week because I can do so much with that and it's protein that's all ready for me. I also buy those bags of steamable rice. I try to get the ones without like a bunch of stuff and additives in them, but they sell them at Wegmans, they sell them at Giant. Just a basic white or a brown rice, and then from there I'll throw some sort of vegetable into it. I like hot sauce a lot, so luckily hot sauce is low calorie and I don't have to worry about adding on like a sauce with a ton of sugar or fats into it. But if there's a sauce of your choice that you enjoy, stay light with that sauce and flavor up your food a little bit with that. Rotisserie chicken, I have just to give you some of the meal ideas that I've done that you can do very, very quickly. I've made enchiladas with the rotisserie chicken. We've made pizzas with it. We've made really anything that you can make with chicken, you can just kind of strip off of that. But to put into perspective how easy it is, you literally just tear a little bit of the meat off, size of the palm of your hand, you get your serving of carbs and vegetables, and you have a meal right there. Um, Another quick tip that I think would be really beneficial, whenever you guys are cooking for your dinner, if you cook dinner regularly, I encourage you to cook extra protein. So if you're having chicken or steak one night for dinner, cook yourself an extra steak. Whenever Jenny and I are cooking, I'll cook a third steak so that I have something for the next day and I can have lunch and I just have to think about heating up that bag of rice and getting a vegetable into it. Um, every person's going to be a little bit different on what works best for them as far as like the meals that they have access to. If you're familiar with cooking, there's so many different factors. My best advice with a lot of these questions would be reach out to us coaches so that we can give you an individual answer for you specifically and kind of talk about the struggles that you have with getting these habits implemented into your day, and we can help you out with that more detailed. Now that was the last question that I have for today. So Ed, you're the only one on the call with me, so I'm gonna put you on the spot right now. Do you have anything that you want to go over?
I don't, I, you know, I'm on here by accident. I was actually supposed to be on with Nick, but um, I found it very useful though. A lot of this stuff I really wasn't aware of, so I found it very useful. Particularly the protein amounts and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and the before and the after meals and eating. I'm one of those that can't. I usually go at 8 in the morning, but I'm one of those that can't have much in my stomach before I
Yep.
work out.
One
So
thing
I
with this,
usually go ahead.
sorry, no, I didn't mean to cut you. Go ahead and
No,
continue.
that's all right. I mean, I usually have oatmeal in the morning, like an hour before, coffee with a protein powder in it. And then when I get done, I get home, I have like a 40-gram protein shake. But other than that, I don't have much. So I think I need to build up my post-workout food intake, I think.
And what I have noticed with macronutrients, and I really, really want to clarify this for everybody. I've been training for 10 years, a little over 10 years now. I have seen, I'd say, less than 5% of my clients follow through on a macronutrient diet because it's a very detailed process. It can be very stressful and it can be very hard to maintain long term. If you go out to eat, if you want to go out with your friends, all of these things need to be factored in. And that's why I typically don't recommend them for many people because it is so hard. It's hard for me as a fitness professional to uphold that. So I would recommend that's really why we gave you guys the goals that we did, because we think that of what we offered, these are going to be the most beneficial for you to focus on for the time being. Um, my takeaways from this call: aim for those 100 grams of protein. And if that's becoming easy for you, know that you can benefit off of more, and let us coaches guide you through that. Another thing, whenever we're talking about adding more into our days, this is all new to us. If you're not used to adding this much protein, it will take some time to sit down and like kind of create a plan. Like, okay, maybe I have to start adding this into my day. Maybe, and that's what I want you guys thinking about, because these are all going to lead to better results and just benefit you overall. Kathy, I saw you pop on. Do you have any questions before I end the call? I'll unmute you real quick.
Did it start at 2 o'clock? Or did I miss
1:30 to 2, but I did but hey, that's okay because I did record this and I'm going to post it on the group later. But while I have you, do you have a question for me real quick?
No, I don't, because I just spoke to you.
Okay. Well, just know that this is going to be posted on the group, okay? So I got you covered. But for
Okay.
anybody else that's watching, please reach out to us coaches, because that's what we're here for, to help you guys out with this stuff. Every person is going to have their own questions, probably based off of some of the stuff that I said today. So please reach out and let us know, okay? Have a great weekend. Happy Friday, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us.
Okay, thank